The New York Jets are the first team in NFL history to start 0-5 and have zero turnovers through the 5 games of that span. It's bad. It is worse than I could have possibly imagined. I think expectations for most people were pretty low for this football team, and the Jets have somehow not lived up to expectations, not in a year where you had fans going, oh, this is a playoff team this year, like the last couple of years where they finished with losing records, despite having playoff aspirations. This is a team that going into the year, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, if things went well, wins-wise, were the predictions that you saw, they will be lucky to win 5 games this year. We're going to get into the post-game show. It's brought to you by Sleeper. Think you know football, then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app. Pick more or less with more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame, or you could do it live during the game. Choose more or less from the predicted stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code O'Leary, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. New offer, there's a free $20 no deposit required promo that they're running. Terms and conditions apply. It just goes from bad to worse. An absolutely disgusting effort from the New York Jets today. The Jets would start with the ball. This game, the Cowboys win the toss and defer. Fields finds Garrett on 3rd and 5 for 16 over the middle. The Jets are driving pretty nice. They get a nice long 22-yard run from Breece Hall on 3rd and 1. The refs miss a face mask from Isaiah Davis on this drive, but it ends up kind of not really mattering because there would be a defensive penalty that would set up a 1st and goal. Fields scampers for 5. Breece Hall stuffed, loss of yards actually on 2nd down, then an incomplete pass. So the Jets have to settle for 3. Kind of not that this was the point where I knew the Jets were going to lose the game, but bad omen out of the gate when you have a drive as successful as that one is that doesn't end with a touchdown. Pretty frustrating. Last week, first drive ended in a turnover. This week, they get points, but only a field goal on the first possession. Cowboys, you would have a huge play by Flurney. Who is this guy? He looked like, I don't know, Michael Irvin today. I don't know. Michael Irvin reincarnated today. Down to the 20. More beat. Couldn't tackle. It's just, what else is new? 1st and 2nd downs, the defense looked fine. They actually get off the field on 3rd down this time. And the interesting difference was the first time on 3rd down they played man. The second time they play zone. They get off the field. 3-3 game. The Cowboys settle for a field goal. All right, here comes the Jets' next possession. Nice Breece Hall run on 1st down. Fields misses Garrett Wilson deep for what very well could have been a walk-in touchdown. Threw it way too far for him. Needed to put more air under it. The Jets drive stalls. They punt it down to the 10. And here's where the Cowboys offense really takes over. Cowboys pick up a couple 1st downs. 3rd and 6. They hit Pickens on a slant for a 1st down. That was pretty much the end of the first quarter. Not a whole lot of offense in the first quarter. That would change in the second. Good coverage from Stevens forces an incomplete. 3rd and 10. A 3rd and 10 situation. Cowboys check it down. Essentially a screen. Wide open. They leave it completely wide open. They had, I believe it was Ferguson out blocking the only guy in that area. It was set up to perfection from the Cowboys, but the Jets defense just had no answer for it. Shocking. Then you get a 30-yard screen pass to the tight end, Ferguson. They get a touchdown. There was a penalty on the point after attempt. The Cowboys decide they're going to go for 2. Then there was a false start, so instead they decide to kick the extra point after all that. 10-3. Okay, here we go. Breece gets the ball, run for 5. Fields sacked on 2nd down, sacked on 3rd down. Back-to-back sacks from Justin Fields. At this point in the game, was holding on to the ball for way too long. Was the Jets' offensive line good today? No, this was not one of their better performances. And there were sacks later on in this game that were obviously not on Justin Fields. But if we're going to be fair and objective, we have to call it like we see it. You can't hold on to the ball for 4 seconds just standing there in the pocket and not get rid of it in the NFL. That's been an issue for Justin Fields in his entire career. Jets actually force a 3-and-out. Okay, they make a stop on defense. Here we go. All right. Can the Jets start getting down the field? They're down 10-3. They're still very much in this game. Defense finally gets a stop. Big Brees run for 21. Then a false start. Then a check down to Brees. Josh Reynolds picks up 10. First down. And the penalties start to come out. A hold. An illegal man downfield. Couple of pitches and catches to Reynolds. 3rd and 1. Fields picks it up with a quarterback sneak. Awesome. Jets in business. It looked like, hey, they might go down the field and tie this game. Another red zone turnover. This is the moment. Every single week through the first 5 weeks of the season, you can pinpoint the moment the game absolutely turns on its head. Week 1, you have the Xavier Gipson fumble. Week 2, the Michael Clemens roughing the passer. Week 3, the pick 6. Week 4, the Braylon Allen fumble. And week 5, the Brees Hall fumble in the red zone. Cowboys recover, and they go right down the field. Flournoy was just eating the Jets alive inside the 20. They pitch it to Williams inside the 10. Then a pitch to the right this time. Williams punches it in 17-3. What an absolute change, right? Jets in a spot late in the second quarter, driving, can have a chance to tie up the game 10-10. Nope, fumble. Defense just absolutely shits down their leg, and they go right down the field and score 17-3. Fantastic. All right, what are the Jets going to do? How are they going to respond? They respond exactly like you think they would. They would go 3-and-out with the ball, punt it back, very little time left. Javonte Williams runs 66 yards to the 1. Jake Ferguson, little rollout touchdown, extra point, no good, 23-3. It was 10-3 a couple minutes ago. The sequence at the end of the first half completely took the Jets out of this game. They, even as disappointing as kicking a field goal was, it's 10-6. Maybe it's 13-6 going into the half, or 17-6 going into the half. That's even a little bit more manageable. It's not ideal, but it's a little bit more manageable. Nope. 23-3 going into the half. Great. All right, what are we going to see in the second half? Out of the half, the Jets force a 3-and-out. Their defense actually played a little bit better to start the second half. Brees, a big run for 18. Brees hit for a loss, then a field sack. So the Jets don't really do anything here. Tittman was beat pretty swiftly on that one. That's an offensive line mistake on that sack. Next possession for the Cowboys, Braden McGregor gets pressure. Dak Prescott escapes, runs up the field for 9. The Jets end up eventually getting a stop and not giving up points. Okay, that's 2 drives now out of the half where the defense doesn't give up points. Can the Jets offense do anything? Nope. They get to a 4th-and-1 opportunity at the 47. Justin Fields, they've had 2 successful plays with quarterback sneaks in the first half in short yardage. Looks like that was the call again. Justin Fields checks out of it to something else. They run a pass play, a little play action dump off to Andrew Beck, and it's incomplete. Pressure immediately. Not a good throw. Not a good play call in that spot. They turn it over on downs. How do the Cowboys respond? Well, how about a George Pickens bomb of a touchdown over the top of guess who? Sauce Gardner, 30-3. The Jets down 27 points at home to the Dallas Cowboys, who, may I remind you, went into this game missing their number 1 receiver and 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen in this game. All right, the Jets, next possession, down 27. Justin Fields hits Garrett to the 50. Fields gets hit with a roughing the passer. He was hit down low. He was limping a little bit, ends up staying in the game. He's fine. They settle for a field goal. All right, down 27, you kick a field goal. It was 4th and 17, so I guess I'll give him a break on that one. It's 30-6. Jets defense forces a punt. Brees Hall, big run. He goes up over 100 yards on this play. It's a shame that, unfortunately, we can't celebrate a 100-yard rushing game from Brees Hall because his performance is tainted by a game-changing fumble. Jets go for it on 4th. They sneak. Don't get it, number 1, but they also lined up for offsides. Penalties galore in the second half. As a team in this game, I have the numbers on the side over here. The Jets had double-digit penalties. Again, 10 penalties, accepted 61 yards. I believe it was 12 or 13 called against them. I don't know what to say. I really don't. The Jets had penalty issues under Robert Saleh. They had penalty issues when Jeff Ulbrich took over, and now they have penalty issues with Aaron Glenn at the helm. At some point, as frustrating as it is, and this does not exonerate Aaron Glenn, who's struggled through his first 5 games as a head coach in the NFL, at some point, this has to fall on the players, though, doesn't it? There's only so much a coaching staff can do to take out stupidity. Jets get off the field. Anyway, next possession, penalties a problem again on this drive. The penalty bug in the second half was just absolutely disgraceful. Unbelievable catch from Garrett Wilson on this drive, saved what would have been a pick 6 for Trayvon Diggs, who has a million of those in his career. The Jets go for it on 4th and 5. They convert Breece Hall down to the 1. Little play action rollout to Andrew Beck. Touchdown, Jets on the board. They go for 2. Make it 30-14. Mason Taylor with the connection on the 2-point conversion. Jets onside kick. They don't recover. Cowboys get good field position, then kind of just take what the defense is giving them. The defense really gave up at this point. It felt like a little dump off to the running back ends up being a touchdown, 37-14. You're down big again. And then Jets would have one more garbage time touchdown drive. Nice play. Garrett Wilson scores a touchdown. I'm happy for Garrett Wilson. That's about the only guy I'm happy for right now. We're proud of getting to watch every single week is Garrett Wilson. 37-22 is your final score. That is not indicative, by the way, of how this game was. They got their asses handed to them. Total offense for the Dallas Cowboys, who we know they have a good offense. Going into this game, we knew they had a good offense. They had 416 yards. The Jets offense end up with 378. A lot of that, again, in garbage time. But they were sitting with 6 points through the first 3 quarters of this game against the defense that gives up 30 to everyone. And okay, yeah, they ended up with 22, and it doesn't look as bad because, they scored some late points, scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but it's BS. You and I know. If you watched the game, you know what happened. You saw the 4 quarters. This is, the only thing that this is going to do is for those who are box score watching, they go, they scored over 20 points again this week. It didn't matter. They didn't play well enough when it mattered the most, and that's the story for this New York Jets team. Justin Fields finished 32 of 46. Justin Fields throwing the ball 46 times in this game. 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was sacked 5 times, a 100.2 rating. Box score numbers look good. Was it a great game for Justin Fields? I would say it wasn't a great game for anyone in particular, honestly. Breece Hall, 14 carries, 113 yards. He averaged 8.1 yards per carry. He was awesome except for 1 carry where he had a big gain and then it ended up fumbling, which, as I mentioned, completely changes the game. Garrett Wilson, 6 for 71 and a touchdown. Mason Taylor, 9 for 67. He's been being used a lot, which is good. Breece Hall, 4 for 42. Josh Reynolds had 3 catches for 29 yards. He was a little bit of a safety blanket in this one. Jeremy Ruckert, 4 for 28. But, Ryan Flooney, or Flournoy, however you say this guy's name, he had 6 catches for 114 yards. He had over 100 yards in the first half. This was not a close game. It was not a close game. And after all the injuries going into the week, the Jets were 2.5-point underdogs for most of the week. That line moved to 1.5-point underdogs. And they were even right before kickoff with the additional injuries were favored by 1.5 in this game at home against a team that gives up 30 points to everybody. And you have 6 points through 3 quarters. Your defense sucks. Again, there was not a single good player on the Jets defense today. They were all terrible. Dak Prescott was sacked 1 time in this game. That's the 2nd time this year the Jets have gone up against a depleted offensive line like they did against Tampa Bay and now this week. And in each one of those games, they got 1 sack. I don't know when it gets better. I don't know. I don't have any answers for you. I wish I could come on a post-game show and say this is what the Jets have to do. They are this close to figuring it out. They could do this, this, and this, and they'll be fine. Don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I really don't know what to say. Again, an embarrassing performance. And they now get to play the Denver Broncos, who, last I checked, were up against the Philadelphia Eagles in the fourth quarter at the time of recording this. They are very likely to go to 0-6, and this thing just feels like it is going off the rails and rails quickly. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.